My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. I'm going to break down the entire UFC Vegas 79 fight card, giving you my picks, my predictions, and my bets. But before I do, let's talk about Noche UFC. Overall, great card. There was a live audience. Those fans were incredible. They're cheering for their fighters. They are loud. It's not like those weird French fans that were like sitting in silence doing nothing. Absolutely incredible event to watch live. I'm so glad that it wasn't in the Apex and it was an actual full-size arena. Jacob dominated last night, up 5.4 units. He picked a perfect card. Obviously, there was a draw and a no contest. Remove those. He picked a perfect card outside of that. His lock of the week was Alexa Grasso. That is a draw. That's not a win. That's not a loss. That is a draw. Here's my opinion on that fight, at least. I thought it was a close enough fight, right? It felt like Alexa had some success, obviously. It felt like she was getting some of the better exchanges on the feet, was definitely losing the grappling exchanges. Overall, close fight. She dropped Valentina. I think it was in the second round. But if you look at the scorecards, that one judge scored the fifth round a 10-8. None of those rounds were anywhere near a 10-8, and Alexa dropped Valentina in the second. To score the fifth at 10-8 is literally criminal. You're messing with, I'm not even talking about betting money. You're messing with people's livelihoods, people's money. You're messing with everything to throw up a random score like that. And I know what happens. I don't know if the judges can talk to each other. I don't think that they can. But I know this guy's looking at his scorecard, really wants Alexa to win, and is playing games. And he's like, 10-8 in the fifth to make all of this correct. It's absolutely wild. That guy should be investigated. It's literally insane to make the fifth round a 10-8. Let me know in the comments if you disagree. I would love to hear somebody who isn't that dude explain how the fifth round was a 10-8. And scorecards like that are a problem. It's one thing that everybody wants to make fun of the judge. It's on the wrong side of a split. Everybody wants to talk, oh, Sal D'Amato, Sally's always wrong. Fine. And maybe he is. But he's seeing rounds differently than people, right? He gives a 10-9 to a fighter that you thought should have been on the other side. To do a 10-8 when nothing meaningful happened is wild. I can see you're watching the fight, you think grappling is useless, so you don't count it, even though the person spent their time on the back, blah, blah, blah. But fine, it's wrong, but fine. But to look at a fight, to look at a round where not much happened, and to say 10-8 for somebody is literally criminal. That person should be investigated. Obviously, we had the no contest. That referee, Dominic Cruz, went in on that referee for stopping that fight when he should have. I can understand that mistake more than the 10-8 because that's the heat of the moment. You're watching something. He picked up his arm. His arm went limp. Like, that guy has to make a decision in a split second. A judge has 5 minutes to watch a full round, then has time to think about what they watched. Yeah, okay. Yeah, this is my score. There's no rush. They can take as much time as they need to score. There's no rush, especially on the last round. And he took that time and put down a score like 10-8. Literally wild. I've spent way too long complaining about this guy. Overall, Noche UFC was a great card. I'm just dead even for me, but the safety parlay did hit. The safety parlay all-time up over 20 units. 7-3 in the last 10 events. So that's 7 out of 10. That's a 70% hit rate for the safety parlay, so it is doing well. If you want to get the safety parlay, if you want to see all of Jacob's picks and bets, and this kid's crushing it, right? As much as I give him a hard time in the live streams, nothing bad I can say about him now. WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member. It is only $10 a month. You will unlock all of those things. You will also become a premium member and join this community. Our premium members have been crushing. Week in and week out, the premium members absolutely put up numbers. Any ticket I ever share here is only from premium members. If you want to see these tickets specifically and all the other ones that don't make the slides here, go into the Discord. Discord is 100% free. There is a channel called Winning Tickets, and you can hop in there and you can just scroll through all of them and look at them and dive in and take a closer look at every single one of these tickets. But overall, the community did really, really well. Jeffrey 141 put up a $15,000 DraftKings win. The amount of people from our community that use our tools and have that insight that win DraftKings or place in DraftKings and put up giant numbers is astonishing. It actually blows my mind. I filmed these at 7 o'clock in the morning. That event didn't end until 1 o'clock at night, so I'm sure there's even more tickets, more money coming forward. Lee said, with the help of the breakdown videos and all the tools, I had another successful week. Stat Hero UFC. Thanks a lot. J Rico, $450 off $30 bet, shouted us out. And then we got BCRLP, Pickle Rip, said, I joined Premium last week. I'm up over 120 in profits last night, and it's my first week. The no contest and the draw messed up my 11-fight parlay. You guys are on point. Looking forward to the next card. Big Rover shouted out the sexy salamander. Guys, there is a theme here. It is not a coincidence that week in and week out, the premium members are crushing. It's not a coincidence that week in and week out, Jacob is putting up big numbers. None of this is a coincidence. Become a premium member. It's $10 a month at WeWantPicks.com. You're going to get things like tools, the line movement tracker. This week is a wild movement. 2 fighters flipped from underdogs to favorites, and 8 fighters had 20% movement or more. That number is usually like 5, 4, something like that. 8 fighters on this card have had 20% or more movement in their line. So some of these lines widened, some of them completely tightened or flipped. You're also going to get a DraftKings optimizer. This literally builds lineups for you for DraftKings Fantasy. You're also going to get detailed data, metrics, and analytics to help find your own spots. I'm the biggest advocate of the tools. And the reason I'm an advocate of the tools is because this world, this community, obviously, Jacob's putting up these massive bets, and he's doing really well, and the safety parlay is doing really well, and you want to come in, you want to copy-paste and just make money like that, but the reality is you should also be doing some of your own research and use the tools. Find your spots, then look at our bets and say, you know what? This bet aligns with what I was thinking. Oh, I do trust this safety parlay this week. Or, wow, I'm believing what Jacob's talking about here with the first round KO, TK, all of that. Use the data, use the insight, use the tools, use the information to come to your own conclusions, to reinforce what you've already done, or maybe scare you away from something that you're not so sure about. All of this and more is available at WeWantPicks.com. Just click Become a Member. And finally, it's not just me and Jacob. You also get Running Mouth MMA. There are 3 of them putting up picks, bets, and insight. You're going to get Artem, who's breaking down every card, not just UFC. You're going to get the Pick Doctor, an AI that is making picks off of just data and science alone. All of that and everything else. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member. Here's the $50 promo, guys. Let me send you $50. All you need to do is go to WeWantPicks.com/bets. Sign up with any one of those partners, make a deposit, and we send you $50 as a thank you. Got to use the link. It's affiliate marketing. So they're going to tag me or tag you to me. They're going to give us some money. I'm going to look at that. I'm going to slice off a piece of it, and I'm going to give it right back to you. WeWantPicks.com/bets. Sign up, make a deposit, and we will send you $50. Let's go ahead and break down this card. This is an interesting card because it's before a break. I hate cards before a break because I feel like there's a lot of pressure. Also, there's a lot of wild lines here. You're going to hear me go through these cards. There's a lot of fights that should be kind of close that have wild lines. There's a lot of fighters that aren't very skilled. They're not very good. There's a lot of weird layoffs. And if you don't know, the UFC has contractual obligations. They have to offer every single fighter on their roster at least 3 fights. They put all of this together to avoid this antitrust lawsuit, which they're going to end up there anyway. But they have to offer every single fighter on the roster at least 3 fights. And what ends up happening when we get towards the end of the year, we get a lot of really sloppy fights because, oh God, we forgot to give these people their offers. Oh my God, you're going to see a few of these. Oh, we got to get this person on the board, which is going to be absolutely terrible for some of these picks and breakdowns and bets. But this card, I do think I found some decent spots. Hopefully, you can't hear this dumbass puppy that we had to get. Mommy, Daddy, give me a. We had to get this puppy, and all it is doing is tearing things apart to my left, loud as hell, hoping the microphone doesn't pick up on it. Everybody else in this house is asleep because they're all lazy. Not me. Come here, look. Come here, turd. This little bastard is annoying. His favorite hobby is to take a dump on the rug and let the Roomba push it around. And I don't know about you guys, we don't play that game. Like, this house is immaculate, spotless, 24/7. Like, my wife walks around just like, this is dirty. And the house is immaculate. You hear him? But yesterday, he decides to take a dump, and the Roomba is just like, let me smush this around. So yesterday was not a particularly fun day. I love dogs. Don't get a dog. It's not worth it. What are you doing? Why would you just make a friend? You don't need a dog. Don't get a dog. They're not worth it. Let's go ahead and finally break down this card. Opening up the UFC Vegas 79 fight card, we have Tamires Vidal taking on Montserrat Rendon. Montserrat Rendon is a grappler. She's going to stay in your face. She's going to throw that jab. She's going to look to work in some takedowns. Her striking's a bit stiff. She is long, but she's got a tight guard while plodding forward. So she comes in. I don't want to say Mike Tyson because that's going to make you think that she can. No, she does have that tight guard, and she just comes forward and then throws from there. She doesn't have big, clean wrestling takedowns, but she does have some solid clinch work, some decent trips. She's listed as being undefeated, but it doesn't take a lot of tape study to realize that a couple of those decisions, at least one of them, was a gift. But she's a big, strong grappler that's going to come forward, try to bully you to the ground, is essentially the breakdown of Montserrat. Tamires Vidal, former soccer player, BJJ brown belt. She immediately starts working forward, looking for those takedowns. She's going to throw typical big overhand looping shots, pressure you to the cage, and then she's going to try to get the control. And the takedowns, once she gets it to the ground, she is just chasing submissions. She's dangerous on top and off her back, and she's always looking for something. Her striking is almost non-existent, right? It's just big blah, 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 and then immediately trying to take you to the ground. But she's tough enough to just eat shots on her way in, and she's coming off a wild jump knee knockout win over Ramona Pascal. This is the easiest breakdown I'm going to do on this card. Vidal, she's the spot all day long. She's better than Rendon at Rendon's best thing. She hits hard. She's strong. She has more experience. She is a minus 245 on the sportsbook. That kind of sucks. But frankly, she should be minus 500. I love Vidal in this spot. I think she is parlayable. I really don't see her losing this fight. An older, slower, less experienced fighter without the danger that Tamires has, I'm on Tamires all day long. All these jump cuts in the editing is because the freaking dog. This freaking dog. I was just outside for 20 minutes. For you, it was a half a second. I was outside for 20 minutes. Go potty. Go potty. Come on, buddy. Go potty. Come on, let's go potty. No, let's go potty. Get that out of your mouth. Go potty. My mornings used to be my mornings. I could do all of this up at 5. By 7, 8, I'm done. Then everybody else starts waking up. Nope. Now I'm raising a rat, an expensive rat. Next up, at UFC Vegas 79, and we have Mizuki Inoue taking on Hannah Goldy. Mizuki's been a professional fighter since she was 16 years old. 16 years old. And as you can imagine, with 13 years of experience under her belt, she's actually pretty well-rounded. For the most part, she's going to be a busy striker. Not much power, but plenty of volume. She's coming off a 3-year layoff, not because of USADA. Not personal reasons. No, she blew out her ACL. She's gotten surgery. She's gotten it taken care of. She assures everybody the time off is actually good for her to sort of reset. And she's been very vocal. This is a new beginning for me. She's 1-1 in the UFC, but she had two really tough fights. She had a loss against Amanda Lemouche in a decision, and then a win over Wu Yanan. She's taking on Hannah Goldy. Hannah Goldy is short. She's jacked. She's strong as hell, but she doesn't fight that fight. You look at her, you'd think she would be a bully, but she isn't. She's not grinding you against the cage. She's not using that strength to just sort of rip you to the ground and push you around. She's also a volume striker. She's constantly coming forward, keeping it high energy. She's jacked, no real power. Like everything that you see physically does not align with her fight style or any damage that she does. She's essentially, and I've said this about her in the past, Energizer bunnying her way through those fights. Just high pace, fast, moving, never stopping. Incredible cardio, really nice pace. And she's coming off that KO loss to Molly McCann pretty much a year ago. This is a sloppy fight. We have a 3-1 favorite in Mizuki. A 3-1 favorite. She hasn't fought in 3 years. And look what happened with Reyes last night. Granted, that was 6 years, not 3, but 3-year layoff is a very, very long layoff, especially because of injury. So we have 3 years removed. She's coming back. Hannah's not she's not going to be ranked anywhere, but she's busy. She's going to keep coming in forward. She's going to be in your face. She's going to be in great shape. She is not going to have any ring rust. And they said, yeah, Mizuki's a 3-1 favorite. Mizuki should win this fight. The inactivity is worrisome. Hannah's nonstop pace can absolutely win her decision. Neither one of these women is particularly dangerous. The over 2.5, we're definitely going to get a 2.5 round line. The over 2.5 here is the only thing that you could bet and feel good about. Nobody should be betting on Mizuki. 3-1 favorite, 3 years removed, and it's not like, it's not like when Tatiana Suarez was out for a while. like world level wrestler. No, just a busy 6 losses, just a busy striker. No real danger. 3-1 favorite. I open this by saying this is a weird card. They've let the contractual obligations, a lot of sketchy fight. This is one of them. This line makes no sense to me. I get it. Hannah Goldy's probably more focused on her social media career than her fighting career, but Mizuki hasn't done either. Next up, at UFC Vegas 79, we have Mohammed Usman taking on Jake Collier. This is actually a decent fight. We got Jake Collier. This guy's a busy striker, not much power, but he does have a lot of volume, impressive cardio, especially considering he looks like that, and that he used to be a 185-pounder that just dad-botted his way up to the heavyweight division. He doesn't really wrestle very often, but he does have a couple of takedowns in his back pocket. He even took down Andrei Arlovski twice in that loss, which a lot of people think was a win. He's coming off the decision loss to Martin Bidet, where Martin's activity was the difference. But, Jake Collier, in a lot of these fights, they're closer than they should be. Like, people think he's going to get blown out. He keeps the fight close. He stays busy. He has cardio, shockingly, and he's going to be there. He's not a guy you just run right through and push out of the way. He's taking on Mohammed Usman. This is Kamaru Usman's younger brother. Doesn't have that same wrestling background as Kamaru does, but he was a standout football player. He transitioned to MMA a little later in life, considering he's 34 and he's only a couple of years in. Style-wise, he isn't great at any one particular thing, but he's composed for this lack of experience. He's going to sit behind a jab. He's going to methodically work forward. He has very real power. He stays tough on the other end as well, meaning you can beat him up. He's not going to quit. He's not going to break. He seems to be evolving into a wrestler for some reason, but he did go 2 for 12, or 2 and 12. So 14 attempts, only hit 2 of them in that win over Junior Taffa. I mentioned cards like this are tricky. A couple of underskilled people, over-the-hill kind of people. But the reality is, this fight kind of matters, because if Mohammed Usman loses to Collier, there goes that, like, okay, maybe we can build ourselves a heavyweight prospect here. If Jake Collier loses to Mohammed Usman, he's definitely going to be cut. Collier has a great chin. He's got a busy jab, light years more experience. But I do think Usman can win this fight just with sheer physicality. Jake could 100% dance his way to a close decision. The pick's going to be Usman because of the side and speed difference, but the only bet I would even consider here is if we get lucky enough to get a 1.5 round line because, they're heavyweights. And then over that should be a lock, right? Jake is tough. Mohammed's tough. Mohammed does have some power in his hands, but Jake's got a decent chin, and this might be a sloppy fight. But the reality is, this fight actually could have some implications on definitely Jake Collier's career, and certainly Mohammed Usman. The UFC is going to want to push him and then try to turn him into something. So we'll see what happens. We're going to be rooting for that 1.5 round line so we can hammer the over. If you're a premium member, link the Discord. If we get that line, if we do hammer it, you will get alert to your phone. If you're not a premium member, just become one, you cheap bastard. Then we have Jacob Malkoun coming back after a little time away, taking on Cody Brundage. Jacob Malkoun is a grappler. He likes to plot forward. He wants to throw everything with power before transitioning. And because of this, all of his punches are looping. Everything goes with power. Everything's got a little curve to it. Even his jab isn't straight up. It's like whoop, a little bit of a hook to that jab. He does send it with a lot of power, though. He steps into everything, and that does leave him open to be taken down, but it adds sting to all of his strikes. He's a capable wrestler. He's going to lower his level, shoot really well-timed takedowns. Most of his shots are clean. They're right up the middle. They're in the middle of the cage, and that works well for him. He averages more than 7 takedowns per fight, and he's coming off that win over Nick Maximov, where his takedowns were relentless. But his chin was a bit questionable. He's taking on Cody Brundage. This guy is a heavy-handed, kill-or-be-killed wrestler. He's got no problem coming forward. No problem throwing heavy, and then he'll work in some wrestling. He does have a pretty high-level wrestling background before transitioning to MMA, and he does bring that to the cage. He averages almost 3 takedowns per fight, but even dominant wrestling performances can't always keep him safe. He's coming off that ridiculous loss to SD Dumas. Like, it was clear Cody Brundage is going to dominate this dude, and he was dominating. And then all of a sudden, his fight IQ left his body. It was like an alien just sucked it out of him. His fight IQ left his body, and he's just jumping for guillotine. Like, with a half a second of wrestling effort, that was Cody Brundage's fight. Instead, Let me jump guillotine. It was absolute nonsense. We'll give him a little bit of credit. It was short notice, but what an absolute joke that loss was. Cody is riding a 3-fight skid, but honestly, he actually has looked good, at least at one point. In all of those fights, he dominated McCall early with the wrestling. He almost had Rodolfo out on his feet. And then the SD Dumas, I just trashed the guy for it, but early in that fight, when he actually wrestled, he looked phenomenal, and it was clear he was going to dominate. But he managed to lose all 3 of them anyway. He has power to knock out Jacob. He's got the wrestling to control him. I still think he's going to look good early and then somehow lose this fight. Malkoun has trash control, which is why he gets so many takedowns, but his cardio doesn't stop. And that pressure is probably going to be the difference here. If he doesn't eat a big right hand early, he's going to dominate this fight. So Jacob Malkoun is the pick. Pretty confident in him to win this. Another jump cut. That dog has no chill. No chill whatsoever. We've got Tim Means taking on Andre Fialho. Tim Means is a ripe 39 years old, but doesn't really show his age, right? He's not coming out there falling over, looking exhausted. He's still his high-volume, gritty striker. He's going to work in a takedown if he needs to. He has tricky striking because he's got that long karate style. He's going to switch stances on you. Hard to put him in any single category, at least, fight-wise, technique-wise, or style-wise, because he's going to come out. He's going to do all the things. He'll strike with you. He'll work in takedowns if he needs to. He's going to be dangerous on the ground. He's going to be dangerous on the feet. Very well-rounded guy, very active guy. He is coming off of the submission loss to Alex Morona, where he actually had his wrestling going early, but was caught in that guillotine. He's taking on Andre Fialho. This guy's a striker, got a nice jab, heavy leg kicks, solid takedowns when he needs them. He's got huge power in his hands. He is very tough, but he's also very, very hittable, and his chin is absolutely gone. He has a negative 3-6 striking differential, and if he doesn't get the knockout, he ends up being overwhelmed and outstruck. He's coming off his 3rd knockout loss in a row, this time to Joaquin Buckley in his second fight at 170. Andre's the 2-1 favorite right now, and I get it. Yes, he has no chin whatsoever, but it's not exactly like Tim Means is this one-hitter-quitter kind of guy. So the books are assuming that a heavy-handed Fialho is going to get to Tim, put him away early. I just don't see it that way. Tim has proven to us over the last 11 years in the UFC that he's tough as hell. He has fought a who's who of welterweights. He's kept many of those fights close, even in the losses. The problem is he's 39 years old. He is slowing down a bit, right? He doesn't look 39, but he certainly doesn't look 25 either. So he's slowing down a bit and fighting one of the hardest punchers in the division in Fialho. So it's not a fight that I'm excited to make a pick on because, you could lose a bad decision. You could lose a razor thin that's like, bad pick. It's like, well, a little bit of context is helpful. I'm not excited to make a pick here, but I do think Tim Means can squeak this out. Super low confidence. But what does Fialho have, right? Just big, heavy power in his hands. His takedown defense is at a not great 60%. Tim Means can be very busy. If he avoids the power, he should be absolutely fine. The striking differential for Fialho is not good on his side. So I think a Tim Means, a busy, gritty guy, can sort of stay in his face, stay busy with the striking, avoid the big power, maybe work in a takedown, and somehow squeak out a very close decision. I don't see Tim Means just getting lights out early. The Tim Means is not that Van Zant or Cameron Van Camp who's just going to get smoked early trying to look all handsome for no reason. I think Tim Means can ugly this fight up, squeak out a win. Very, very low confidence pick in the Dirty Bird. Then we have a very, very good fight. This could be fight of the night. We got Miles Johns taking on Daniel Argueta. Miles Johns a good, strong wrestler. He's got heavy hands, explosive speed. The wrestling used to be the core of everything that he did, but like so many others, he found some power in his hands, and then he just abandoned that wrestling overall. He consistently sits on that power, waits for you to come forward, and then he's just going to throw bombs. He's coming off that win over Vince Morales where he was low volume, he was winging punches, he was sitting on power, but he actually attempted a few takedowns, and that squeaked out the decision for him. He's taking on Dan Argueta. This guy's a short, stocky wrestler. He's going to come across the cage, wrap up your body, muscle you to the ground. He's got very nice pressure. He leaves almost no space for his opponents to work up. He's had one single game plan in his fights, and that's get you to the ground and pound away. He's coming off that no contest with Ronnie Lawrence where it was clear he was going to win that fight as a pretty good-sized underdog going into it. And I love Argueta in this spot. He has the desire to wrestle, which is something that Miles lost years ago. Miles does have a 92% takedown defense, but I dug into it because that worried me. I was like, oh shit, is Dan not going to be able to take him down? And then I dug into it. I watched the tape. I looked at all the stats. It's a bit inflated because other than Sexy Mexi, who also doesn't use his wrestling, Miles Johns hasn't fought somebody with a wrestle-first game plan. So he's getting like these sloppy non-wrestlers. He's having some success striking, and then they take trash shots. They'll just dive at a leg, something like that. So now his takedown defense is inflated. I trust Argueta to come forward. I trust him to stay on the hips, and I trust him to outwork Miles Johns. So Dan Argueta, pretty confident pick. Then we got Charles Jourdain taking on Ricardo Ramos. Charles Jourdain is a fun come-forward striker. He has a phenomenal chin. He's incredibly fast. He's got great timing. He's willing to take chances with spinning attacks, flying techniques. He's not the most technical guy in the world, but he's an absolute dog. He's going to keep fights ugly. He's going to stay in your face, and he's coming off that one-sided beating over the incredibly pathetic Kron Gracie. He's taking on Ricardo Ramos. This guy's a very dangerous fighter. He's pretty good everywhere. He's tall, rangy. He's a striker, and then he has slick BJJ on the ground. He's got high kicks, spinning kicks, a great jab, solid double leg kicks, or just pop, pop, crack your legs. If it hits the ground, he's always hunting for a submission. He's very fast in those grappling transitions. He's coming back after a wild knockout over Danny Chavez about a year ago. This has Fight Night also written all over. We got back-to-back great fights here. Two exciting guys that are going to take chances. They're going to look for stoppages. I love Charles Jourdain, right? He's incredibly exciting. He's very tough, but a lot of people confuse toughness with technique. He's not the most technically sound guy, and people are able to avoid his chaos and keep things technical. Those people can beat him. They can pick him apart. I'm going to go slight lean for Ricardo here because I think he can pick his shots. I think he could even work in a takedown, but if he doesn't have the early success, I think he's going to have a very long night. So Ricardo Ramos is going to be the pick. Not insanely confident in that, but I do think that Charles Jourdain is going to try to create chaos, try to make it ugly, and Ricardo's going to be a little more accurate with the striking, a little more accurate with the kicks, and be able to avoid that sloppy mess and just sort of pot shot his way, create a grappling exchange or two, and pull off the win. And we got Bryan Battle taking on AJ Fletcher. Spoiler alert, Bryan Battle's my most confident pick, and I have a 1.5 unit money line bet on him. This guy's a dog. He's a dog. He's constantly pressuring, constantly working towards something. He has shown us that he's got solid ground game and he's never out of a fight. He averages basically one takedown per fight. Miserable 20% takedown accuracy, which isn't great, but he's improving at an incredible pace every single fight. He physically looks different. His skills are more polished. He's coming off that quick knockout win over Gabe Green. Gabe rushed in. Bryan landed that big overhand. Bryan Battle in every single fight just looks better. His hands are getting phenomenal. We've seen him outwork people. Bryan Battle's the type of guy you can actually trust. We break down a lot of fighters, and there's a lot of, if they do this, if they do what they're supposed to do, then Bryan Battle's not a guy you have to worry about. He will do what he's supposed to do. He's taking on AJ Fletcher. This guy's a powerful wrestler. He's got some dynamic striking. When you break down his film, you're going to see the striking. You're going to see knockdowns. You're going to see knockouts. But he's actually a fantastic wrestler and a grappler who uses those big strikes to set things up. He does an amazing job with his takedowns where he's going to attack on your feet. When you start firing back, boom, drop, shoot, right in there with the power, with the speed. Once he hits the ground, he's pounding away. He's incredibly fast. Any movement, any scramble, boom, he's right behind you. Boom, he's on your back. I'm very animated today. Anyway, you can trust AJ Fletcher in that he's going to be fast, he's going to be athletic, he's going to be strong. You can't trust him for his fight IQ. He's coming off that win over Temba Garimbo. He looked hesitant on his feet. He did win a scramble after being taken down, which is, you expected from a better wrestler in a wrestling matchup. But the real red flag, though, is he struggled with reach. He started doing wild things like pulling guillotine, and that's where you cannot trust him. AJ Fletcher is a wrestler. 2 fights ago, Bryan Battle lost to a wrestler. He was taken down, he was controlled, and Bryan Battle had very little success. But with that being said, Bryan Battle never accepted bottom. He continued to work every single second of that fight, and AJ is not Renat Fakhretdinov. That is not who AJ is. Even if he does have some wrestling success in AJ, he's not going to be able to control Bryan. He's going to start to flail, throw out nonsense guillotines because Bryan is never going to stop moving. AJ struggled with Temba's reach. He's absolutely going to struggle and be lost with Bryan. Bryan seems like a great deal at -170. I have a 1.5 unit bet on him. He is probably safe to parlay as well. Then we have Marina Rodriguez. She's taking on Michelle Waterson. It's Michelle Waterson Gomez now. I'm not doing that whole thing. We're calling her Michelle Waterson, especially graphic-wise. You're going to give me a name like that and expect me to squeeze it. It's just not happening. You've been Michelle Waterson since your entire fighting career. In the last 2 fights, I have to add a whole word. Not happening. Marina Rodriguez, 16-3. Very good. Very good fighter. But she is coming off 2 losses in a row, and it feels like all the youngsters like to say fraud checked. It feels like she was either fraud checked or just, okay, couple of bad matchups. But she's a very good boxer. She's got solid speed, solid power. She does have raw one-punch knockout power, just okay takedown defense, and that was exposed in her last fight. Overall, Marina Rodriguez is a pretty complete fighter. She can grind out a win. She can get a finish. She's coming off that loss to Verna Jandiroba, where she controlled the striking, but she was taken down 3 times, and she was controlled for 12 minutes. She's taking on Michelle Waterson, a.k.a. the Karate Hottie. She has been a professional fighter for 15 years. She's got a ton of cage time with and she's fought some of the best that have ever done it. She's fought multiple champions, Rose Namajunas, Carla Esparza, Joanna Jędrzejczyk. Style-wise, she's a slick striker. She uses kicks and distance really well with a little bit of wrestling in her back pocket. She has 22 takedowns in her last 15 fights, and despite the 33% takedown accuracy, she can time her shots really well. She's coming off her 3rd loss in a row, most recently a very close decision to Luana Pinheiro, where Michelle Waterson's kicks looked absolutely phenomenal. If I knew Michelle would wrestle, this is what we just talked about with AJ, right? If I knew Michelle would wrestle and she was going to do what she's supposed to do, I'd be all in on Michelle Waterson. Yeah, she's 37 years old, but Marina's not young. She's 36. Michelle should have the more dynamic striking, the more well-rounded overall skill set, and far more experience, but she's also been very inconsistent lately. It seems like she's disinterested or ill-prepared. I trust Marina just a smidge more in this matchup to push the action, keep her boxing in Michelle's face. This is definitely an over 2.5 play. Like, Marina's got that raw power, but Michelle's, maybe you can submit her, but you're not just going to get in there and take Michelle's head off the run. She's too experienced, too tough, too good of a striker for that to happen. So definitely an over 2.5 round play, potentially a plus 3.5 on Michelle. If you don't know what plus 3.5 is, you're buying points on the judges' scorecard. So the way the math works out is if Michelle Waterson loses a 29-28 decision or better, meaning wins the fight, then, or even loses a split decision, that'll get it for her. But anyway, if she loses a 29-28, if she wins the fight, all of those things, then that bet hits. We'll see what happens with the odds and if that's even worth it or not. But the pick's going to be Marina Rodriguez. I'm probably going to bet the over 2.5 round line, maybe parlay it with another 1 or 2 of these lines. And then we have the co-main event of the evening. We got Bryce Mitchell taking on Dan Ige. Bryce Mitchell is a dominant wrestler. He's the powerhouse wrestling state of Arkansas, as I like to joke. But that hasn't stopped him from having success. Being from Arkansas has somehow, despite all the odds, Bryce has managed to be successful. No offense to Arkansas. He averages about 3 takedowns per fight. He's got an accuracy of 44%. So basically, he's diving at legs. His striking is awkward. He doesn't even pretend to be a striker. He keeps his hands low. He just starts shooting and working from there. If he gets you to the ground, which is pretty much a guarantee. He's taking down everybody, including Ilia Topuria, in that fight. He's not going to strike. He's going to start working for submissions. He's going to keep control. And he's got some of the most incredible grappling scrambles you're going to see. He's coming off that whomping by Ilia Topuria, where he had a takedown, but he went 1 for 9. He had a fight after that. It was canceled. And, remember his shoulder? He's got a lot of weird stuff going on. But anyway, he's taking on Dan Ige. This guy's a fantastic kickboxer. He's got speed. He's got power. Also solid BJJ and some underrated wrestling. His takedown defense is going to look low at 56%. But he has only fought killers these last couple of years. He's on a 2-fight win streak, and that was after a 3-fight skid. That most recent win being a decision over Nate Landwehr, where he defended 4 takedowns. This entire fight is going to come down to Dan Ige's takedown defense. Bryce's striking absolutely sucks, right? He's clueless on the feet. If he can't wrestle, and Ilya showed us all that there are levels to this wrestling, if he can't wrestle, then Bryce Mitchell's, that's it. There's just no way he's going to win this fight. The problem is, I don't know if Dan Ige can defend all of those takedowns. If Bryce is anything, he's persistent. Regardless of how many takedowns get stuffed, there's another shot right behind it. He has incredible control. So when we break down fighters like Jacob Malkoun, averaging 7 takedowns per fight, that's because Jacob Malkoun's control sucks. Bryce Mitchell has phenomenal control. When he eventually gets one of those takedowns, you can't get rid of him. He's just an 8th layer of skin, right? There's 7 layers of skin. So he'd be the 8th layer of skin. You cannot shake him. He's going to be on you. He's going to scramble with you. He potentially will find something, but even if he doesn't, he's going to be racking up control time. So Bryce is going to be the pick here. But I'm going to stay away from this for 2 reasons. One, Dan Ige is fantastic. A ton of high-level experience. This fight, meaning, I'm fighting a really good wrestler, that's not going to scare him. It's not going to be worried about the wrestling. He may not be able to stop it, but he's not going to worry about it. And 2, Bryce's personal life is a disaster right now. If you follow him on social media, he's talking about, my ex-girlfriend came and ruined my fruit trees and she killed I'm just asking, please, will the people help me out? My fruit trees are dead. And then like, oh man, his ex-wife or girlfriend or whatever, and he's got a kid with somebody else, and it's a whole thing. And then all of these other videos started to surface of him from probably years ago, bashing in a window, just yelling at the chick who killed his fruit tree. It's this guy's life right now is a mess. And if you remember a couple of months ago where he pulled out of that Movsar Evloev fight, he started, I'm broke, I have no money, I can't, like, Bryce Mitchell's life is a mess right now. I don't know if that translates into the cage. So Bryce Mitchell is going to be the pick. Insanely low pick. Because if he gets the wrestling going, that's it. I mean, Dan Ige is not going to be able to shake him. But a bunch of red flags with everybody's favorite redneck. Then we have the main event. This is a very good main event. A very, very good main event. Rafael Fiziev taking on Mateusz Gamrot. Rafael Fiziev, this guy's a phenomenal striker. Traditional Muay Thai striker. He's got incredible power, great volume. He mixes his punches and kicks up really well. And that's what's expected from a high-level striker and coach. Even though he is one of the most technical strikers in the division, he will absolutely get sucked into a war. He's going to abandon all techniques. He's going to chase a knockout. He has impressive takedown defense at 90%. And he's going to need every single bit of that in that fight because he's fighting Mateusz Gamrot. This guy's a nasty wrestler. Decent striking, diverse set of attacks. He doesn't have incredible power on his feet, but he is busy and he pushes a pace. Gamrot can out-wrestle everyone in the division who isn't Beneil Dariush and also has the ability to hang on the feet. Not going to win all those exchanges, but he will hang on the feet. He sends a relentless pace, and even when he's knocked down, which is basically every single fight, he immediately pops right back up. He's working right back into those wrestling exchanges. He has 7 fights in the UFC. He has been knocked down in 4 of them, but finished in none, and that's an important point to make there. The guy's getting dropped, but nothing's happening with it. My instant reaction when I saw like this was the matchup was, well, Fiziev's going to finish Gamrot. He's an insane striker. Gamrot has that questionable chin. He keeps getting dropped. But then you look a little deeper and you see, knockdown. Let me go watch that knockdown. You watch the knockdown, immediately pop. It's like a spring. It just immediately pops right back up. He's never fully on ice skates. So he like literally drops, but he's not wobbly. He doesn't have gazelle legs. He just drops and he's right back up seemingly at 100% instantly. And that's what makes this a little, okay, maybe Fiziev's not going to be able to just put him out instantly. Fiziev is absolutely going to be the better striker. Gamrot's absolutely going to be the better wrestler. It all comes down to Fiziev's ability to defend takedowns and inflict damage, which is such a tough call to make. I'm going to lean Fiziev here. And I know that's probably a surprise for a lot of people. I tend to favor wrestlers. The problem is this is 5 rounds. If this was 3 rounds, I actually would probably go Gamrot. But this is 5 rounds. Gamrot has to be perfect for 5 rounds. And we just watched Fiziev. I think Fiziev beat Justin Gaethje in that fight. I thought it was 2 rounds to 1, but whatever. We just watched Fiziev go to war with one of the scariest, like, I don't give an F guys in the division. And if he's got that mindset, that willingness to go out there and bomb away and make this fight ugly and just put it all out there, he eventually is probably going to catch Gamrot, beat him up, make it happen. Right now, the reality is Fiziev probably going to win this fight. He is going to be my pick, which is, I don't think I've ever picked against Gamrot. I think this is literally the very first time I'm picking Gamrot to lose. Frankly, Gamrot at this money is probably great money. Great money if you think he's going to get the wrestling going. So let me know in the comments what you think. I'm very, very curious. I have a feeling that this is going to be the fight that everybody's arguing about in the comment section. And you people drive me nuts with these comment section arguments because you go in there, everything's an absolute fact. Nobody has ever, well, yeah, I could see Gamrot winning. It's Gamrot. So there's no way. Fiziev, like everything's an absolute fact. And then you disappear into the shadows when that doesn't happen. Either way, should be a great fight. Great main event. Guys, let me send you $50. All you need to do is go to WeWantPicks.com/bets, sign up with any one of our partners, make a deposit, and I send you $50 as a thank you. It's affiliate marketing. They're going to pay me. I'm going to slice off a piece of that pie. I'm going to give it right back to you. WeWantPicks.com/bets. Then you can take that money and become a premium member. You're going to unlock all the tools, all the information, everything you have ever needed, including the line movement tracker. This is going to give you opening odds, current odds, win probability, and line movement for every single fight on every single card. You're going to get detailed data, metrics, and analytics. You're going to get courses. We literally have courses to teach you how to do things like play DraftKings Fantasy. And you're also going to get more than me and Jakey Boy. We got Running Mouth MMA. That's 3 of them giving you picks, bets, all of that. You're going to get Artem, who's breaking down PFL, LFA, Bellator, far more than just UFC, and the Pick Doctor, who is an AI picking fights just based off of data and statistics alone. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member. It is only $10 a month.